Hi, everybody. I'm Wendy Eklund here with Legislation Take Action, and I am lucky enough to be introducing you to Mary Barke, who is running for the Orange County Board of Education. Now, Mary, welcome. Thank you for being here with us. Can you first explain to our to the people that watch our videos, what district you're in, because that's a super important piece for them to understand where you're running and where they need to vote for you if they live in that area.
Great. No, I'd be happy to. So as she said, I'm Mary Barke, and I'm actually running for re-election to the county.
Re-election, yes.
Yep, it's my first re-election. I've spent the last 4 years there, and my district is very unusual. It was recently gerrymandered, so it starts up in Cypress, and then it goes down into Los Alamitos, Rossmoor, Seal Beach, Sunset Beach, Huntington Beach, flips into Fountain Valley, Costa Mesa, then a good portion of Newport Beach, and a good portion of Irvine. So I have quite a large district. If you look at a map, I've got a map on my wall. I mean, it is huge.
Wow.
Now, some of it is I have the Irvine part of Shady Canyon, which is just huge and not maybe as many homes, but it's just, I don't know if you can see if I show you. Can you see that map?
Oh my goodness, that is huge.
The white is mine, just as to give you an idea. So that is,
wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, I try and be very strategic because I believe in you really have to walk to win. So like on a day like today, 1, 2 o'clock, I'll walk out my door and do my own neighborhood. But on the weekend, when I have more time, I'll drive to Irvine or to Newport or Costa Mesa and do the districts that are further from me. So.
And what she means when she says that she walks, she literally goes in the neighborhood and knocks on doors so she can meet the people within her district and make sure that they know her and have a connection to her. And I just think that that's a great way to connect with the community, because I really feel like you've done so much to protect school choice and to protect our children over your 4 years that you've already served. Can you tell us a few of the things that you feel like you've done that have really stood out with the people that you're on there now with?
Absolutely. I mean, our job at the county board, because a lot of people don't really know what the county board is. They think it oversees all the districts. We really don't oversee all the districts. We're an appeals board. So every time a charter wants to go into a district, the charter typically says no. I've only seen one district approve a charter in the last 4 years. And that's because I was heavily involved knowing what they would need to do to get that approval. And it was a 1:15 a.m. decision in the morning. It was not something that came quickly. It was a 4-3 vote at 1:15 a.m. So most of the charters, the majority of them are not approved at the local level for various reasons, and they then can come to the county for approval. We have approved 5 new charter schools in the last 4 years, which is probably more than most in the state. If it is viable, we want to expand school choice. We don't want to trap children by their zip code. We believe families need choices. And charter schools offer choice, whether it be in curriculum or, the schedule or a homeschooling, whatever it might be. It offers options to kids that might otherwise be trapped by a zip code or in an environment that just doesn't work for them. We all know that all children are different, and what works for one family doesn't work for another. And I really ran on school choice, and I believe that parents make the best decisions for their children, whether that's the public district school, the public charter school, homeschooling, private school. I believe parents know what's best for their children. And I think it's more important than ever. And I believe just in the 4 years that I've been on the board, from what Lance Azumi tells me from Pacific Research Institute, is homeschooling has doubled. It's gone from about 11% to 20%. He said now 1 in 5 homes homeschools. It doesn't mean the whole family. It means they might just have one child, but 20% of homes are homeschooling now. And I just think it's more important than ever, because when they stop going after charters, when they annihilate charters, they'll go after homeschools next. They want a monopoly, the unions. That's who is after me, is the unions. People like me, people who like choice. And the other thing we do is we appeal interdistrict transfers. So let's say that you live in Newport Beach, but you like the schools better in Fountain Valley. Typically, now Newport Beach isn't the same because they get their money a different way. There's 2 ways you get money. You either get it based on students or based on your taxes. So Newport Beach takes money based on taxes. So they don't like to accept new students, because whether they have 100 students or 100,000, they're getting the same funding.
Right.
You know, a district like, let's say Huntington Beach, which they're in the process. Actually, let's say Los Alamitos that relies on, you know, per head. They don't want to release kids because they don't want to lose the money per child.
They get paid per child, right? Yep.
But for various reasons, many districts, and you know, bottom line is they think they know the best, whether it's keeping children, letting them go, accepting them, not accepting them, and they don't know what's best for the child. The parent knows what's best. So any parent, if their interdistrict transfer is denied at the local level for any reason, they can request an interdistrict transfer. Now, when I first started, we had very few. I think now we have a reputation for approving them and being a parent-focused board. And so we get many, many more. It's not unusual to have like 13 at a meeting. This upcoming meeting, so far, we have 6 lined up for the meeting. And to me, that gives me such gratification because I feel like I can really, or as a team, the board can change the trajectory of a child's life. You know,
totally.
A child, and sometimes it's actually a child coming out of a charter or homeschooling, just going into a district for the first time and being scared of this school that's in their neighborhood. But a lot of their friends from the charter go to this school. And so that's where they want to go. And you know what? If it makes that child wake up every morning, not fearing going to school and having a different outlook on their education, it's really so important. And so we've done a lot of that over the last 4 years. Just really, I feel like we've changed the lives of students and parents. You know, I remember a parent who they lived out in Lake Elsinore and worked in Newport Beach. And you don't want to be 2 hours away from your kids today. You don't want a natural disaster or any kind of disaster or a sick child and know it's going to take you 2 hours,
to get to them.
To get to them. And so this family had parents that lived in Newport Beach. So somebody was paying taxes and they wanted after school for the kids to walk home to grandma and grandpa.
Grandma and grandpa's where someone was going to be. They don't want them just to have a key to walk into an empty house and be there for hours until they get home from work. That totally makes sense.
Or be at a kid's corner all day, you know, you want to be with family. And so these decisions, to me, they're no brainers, but the arguments we get from the district. So that's very gratifying, is being able to approve those, being able to expand school choice through various charters. We've also expanded a lot of charters. They've added, you know, a high school or added an elementary school or middle school. So we've done a lot of that. We took OSHA under our wing, which, you know, Santa Ana was really tired of them. And so we were able to take them what I call under our protection. And that's a huge school.
Yes.
So that's really what we do. We also oversee a budget, and, you know, we're constantly arguing with the superintendent as to who has authority. And it's our understanding that we do have the authority to make line item changes, even though various sources like the Register will tell you he writes out the budget. Well, he does, but that doesn't mean we can't change it. So that's an important role as well, because it's about a $300 million budget. It's a pretty big budget.
Right. I think something also people don't necessarily understand within our Orange County Office of Education is that he is also elected. Our superintendent is elected and our board is elected. So our board does not hire the superintendent. So they don't always see eye to eye, and they're kind of stuck with each other and have to work together. So I think also pay attention to who you're electing for our superintendent.
Yes, no, that is very true. And it's, you know, it's difficult for us because we really are parent focused. We want to protect the children, protect the parents. We do a lot of, and this is where Orange County Register, even though they endorsed me because they're a big fan of school choice, they called me the ringleader and suggested that I should stay in my own lane. And that's because we do the extra step of educating parents. We had 2 critical race theory expert forums that we hosted. We had one when the CHIA, California Healthy Youth Act, the sex ed, was being implemented in 2018. We want parents to know what's in the curriculum, how they may go about opting out, the different options that they have. And almost the exact quote from Superintendent Maharas when we passed a resolution for the CRT forums was, well, the curriculum comes from the state.
Yeah, but these are not forums where you're trying to brainwash parents one way or another. You're simply presenting the information to let them decide what they want for their children, which I think is huge because a lot of school districts just implement this stuff and the parents are never even told that it's happening. So at least you're giving parents the option to come and listen.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's actually a service. It's for the districts as well. If district trustees want to come and learn, I have a cat who wants to.
Oh, hi, kitty.
That is Tiger.
Hi, Tiger.
So We do. We want to provide that information for the district trustees, and so that when they have their constituents coming to their local board meetings and say, hey, I want to know more about this. Well, how do you even know? Well, we went to the county, and we do live broadcast everything too, so that people can watch, because sometimes people have childcare issues. So that's important. We did move the meetings in our term this last 4 years from 10 in the morning on Wednesday to 5 at night.
Yeah, when no one can come. Right.
Exactly.
Now people can come.
Yeah, it's much more transparent, and we're live broadcasting, which we were never doing. For those that either for distance wise or work wise or childcare wise or health wise, they can't travel to the meeting. They can watch it live and know what's going on. So.
Well, and another thing that I noticed that you guys did that I was impressed with was even during the closures of schools and people couldn't go to meetings, I attended a number of meetings myself in person. And even though it was limited in how many people you could let in, because you're, trying to be safe, you guys made an effort to make sure that people could get in if they were still waiting outside. So as people left, you guys would make your staff or the staff that works for the district let more people in. And you would stay there till all hours of the morning. And so I think that you guys, there was a couple of times I saw like articles or posts saying, oh, they were blocking people from talking. And that was never my experience. I never saw you guys block anyone from talking. I myself spoke up about the funding bill from the governor one of those times, and you guys listened. And I think that that's another important thing to notice, is that maybe our kids aren't within your schools, within the districts, but you were fighting to make sure that funding was fair. You wrote letters to Newsom. You guys hired attorneys and all kinds of stuff. And even though our kids aren't in those schools, it still helped us know that we had someone within a district that was supporting school choice.
Yes, no, and I do think that's important. I'm proud to say in my 4 years, I've never missed a meeting personally, and we've never had a virtual meeting. And I think that's important, that if somebody couldn't go to their local district because it was closed or for whatever reason, they knew they could always at least come and be heard. And I think for some people, that's really important to be heard. So,
right. Well, I felt far more welcome at your guys' board meeting than when I went to the Capitol and had to sneak in through the barricades that were blocking the whole entire park. You couldn't even get into the park to get into the Capitol. So yeah, I feel like you've always made us feel welcome when we need to speak up against something that we saw. I mean, some of those hearings I went to at the Capitol, they let 3 people in.
Right. Well, and it's funny, our bylaws, I believe, say that we'll allow 30 minutes of public comment before the meeting, 3 minutes each. And we have never locked anybody out. We have waited till everybody had a chance to speak. I have sometimes asked, can we move it to a minute or two so that everybody can speak before we start? Otherwise, 10 speakers will get to speak, and then everyone will wait till the end, because we also have this issue where we have people there on the agenda. So you might come with your charter school and your attorney, and you're paying your attorney or you're paying your back office to be there. And we can't make them wait through 6 hours of public comment at several $100s an hour. So, we try and accommodate public comment as much as we can, but then get to agendas. Like I say, especially when I know the clock's ticking for some of the charter schools who are on budgets.
Oh yeah. Having their attorneys there is very expensive.
Yeah.
Because I never really understood why the public comment has to be before, because then you're reacting off the agenda instead of what's actually being said by the board members. I always think public comment should be at the end after you've heard what you guys have to say about the situation. Well, and that's the way it is.
One thing you can request, if you're speaking about something on the agenda, you can ask to speak about it right before that item. So you can do that. People seem to want to speak early. And I know a lot of people bring their children and things, so they want to be out at a decent hour. Although we've had children stay for hours and hours, and we love when children speak. We had an 8-year-old who spoke a couple weeks ago, and it's just so heartwarming to hear these children make the effort. They'd been helped with their script, but they read it so eloquently, more eloquently than a lot of adults. And it was wonderful.
Oh, that's so awesome. I think it's also really good for our audience to understand how the charter works. So if you go and try and get a charter at the local, you have to start at the local district, wherever you're going to be going, wherever you're going to start that school. And if they deny you, then you can go to, in this case, the Orange County Board of Education. But if you have a board that's anti-charter, you're never going to get that charter authorized. So
And I'm a
Really
little
important.
concerned about renewals too. If
Right?
the board changes, I was not able to participate in one of the candidate forums for the League of Women Voters. But Martha Floor, when she was asked about charter schools and what she thought about them, she said she was going to review every single charter that had been denied at the district and approved at the county. So, despite the fact that our staff has gone over it and attorneys have gone over it and all that. So yes, I'm a bit concerned about charters if we lose our majority, and I'm just thinking back, I don't know why, to that 8-year-old, and she's actually a homeschooler. She's being
Aw.
homeschooled. And that's one of the things she talked about, is because of all the conditions and, this and that she's been almost forced to homeschool, and,
Right.
for 2 years of her life, they've been masked. Children have been masked. And that, she said, was, what did she say? 25% of her life. I mean, it was so
Right.
articulate, and so, I think it's great that she's being homeschooled. I think that's kind of been the silver lining to
Right.
COVID, is that a lot of parents had the opportunity to be forced into homeschooling to some extent and really see what their children were learning or weren't learning, and realize that they might be able to do a better job from home.
Right.
And I see so many more people that are not resisting it. I remember 4 years ago when I canvassed and I mentioned homeschool, a lot of, homeschoolers. Sometimes I think those are just crazy parents who want to
Crazy
teach their kids,
parents.
literally, and now when I say homeschool, I can't tell you how many people say, oh, my grandchildren are being homeschooled, or, this or that, or if I had it to do over again, I would do it. So it's a whole different discussion 4 years later. Honestly, it's so different.
I think people think when you say homeschool that we're like barricaded in our homes and we're brainwashing our children to maybe some kind of religion or some kind of mindset. And that's really not who we are as a homeschool community. In fact, the only time we've ever been home is during COVID. I get tons of people telling me like, oh, Wendy, you've been homeschooling for 13 years or whatever. So COVID was no different for you, right? And I'm like, well, yeah, it was, because we couldn't go on field trips anymore. We were field tripping twice a week. Like, yeah, it was different for us. So.
Well, and I think some people think that they have to just stay home full time to do it. They don't realize that between lunch and recess and, everything else that's going on during the day, if you spend a solid morning working hard, you can in the afternoon go to the gym or do whatever. And also you can share the resources. I see so many parents doing that. So I think it's a totally different world today. I know if I had to do it over, I would be homeschooling my children if it was going on right now. Just from so many different areas. So and
there's just so much learning in our state. Like there's so many amazing places you can go and your kids can get a hands-on learning experience that they can't get sitting at the kitchen table in a textbook or sitting in a classroom. So we live in a wonderful state for educating our children in.
We do. And those children turn out to be great individuals, because my son goes to Hillsdale, and I don't know what percentage of that school is homeschoolers, but there is a huge group of homeschooled. Now, there's a gentleman in Nebraska that if you homeschool or send your child to private school, he pays your tuition to go to Hillsdale. So they have a lot of homeschooled kids from Nebraska. And my son is, traveled to Nebraska on his breaks, and, it's great. It's just amazing. I wish somebody had given me that opportunity as a young person, but I would guess that Hillsdale probably has one of the larger populations of homeschooled kids because of this very generous family that does that.
Right. Okay. So I think it's really important to reiterate again what district. So our voting is broken up into districts. So what district are you, Mary?
All right, so I'm District 2, which encompasses all of Cypress, all of Los Alamitos, all of Rossmoor, all of Leisure World as part of that, all of Seal Beach, Sunset Beach, Huntington Beach, Fountain Valley, Costa Mesa. Then I have a large portion of Irvine, if you see me on the ballot, but much larger than I thought. I have Turtle Rock, Turtle Ridge, Quail Hills, the whole Shady Canyon area, the University Hills, I think it's called. So I have a large part of Irvine. And then Newport Beach, I have a very large part as well. I have everything north of Big Canyon, because Lisa lives in Big Canyon, so she has Big Canyon South. I have all of Balboa Island. I have all I have a ton of Newport, which I was really surprised.
Well, Mary, I am excited to tell you that those are all really nice and beautiful places to walk. So
You know what? They are. And my daughter, who lives in Milwaukee, is coming home tonight to walk for the weekend with me. She's bringing her boyfriend, who's been to California only through the Marines.
Wow.
And so I saved Balboa Island for them, figuring that, if they didn't want to walk all day, they could go get a frozen banana, and the weather would be nice and cool. And so,
Right.
yeah.
Oh, that's so awesome. Well, is there anything else that you think the homeschool community should know about you and what you do for us while you're there on the board?
No, I think other than I'm extremely supportive. Again, I believe that parents know what's best for their children, and whatever that is, I will support it. We, will continue to try and educate parents to the best of our ability. And having the majority is what allows us to do it. People ask me, why doesn't any other board do that? Because they can't vote to do it.
Right.
We could vote 4-1 to hold an educational forum, 4-1, to pass an interdistrict transfer. When you only have, less than a majority, which is most of our districts, as far as what I call, and I'm not saying party, because we're nonpartisan. I'm saying school choice versus non-school choice.
Non-school choice. That's the big thing. It's not a party thing. It's a school choice versus non-school choice. And
exactly.
Yeah.
And most boards are not pro-school choice. Even if they are, when they get elected, they get indoctrinated. I say they drink the Kool-Aid, and all of a sudden they're voting with the rest of the board not to expand school choice. So
right. Or listen to parents. I can't believe all the boards that are no longer listening to parents.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing about your board, is that you guys are approachable.
Yes.
You can literally email Mary and she will email you back. So
absolutely,
you want to be able to have someone that you can talk to about an issue and then bring an issue to the board. Mary's your person.
Yeah. And if anybody wants to come in person or watch live, we are always the first Wednesday of the month at 5 p.m. And so you can always tune in and see what we're doing, or come in person. We'd love to hear you speak, or just come up to the dais and say hello. We love to have the community there. I think it's really, really important.
Yep. Even if your kids are not in those schools, you can still go, because they still impact our children.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So Mary, I really appreciate you taking time to explain this to us so our community can get to know you. And if they live in your area, hopefully vote for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I hope they will vote for me and support me, because I support them.
Yes.
And thank you so much for giving me this time to have a conversation.
Of course. Of course. Thank you. And enjoy your canvassing and your walking this weekend.
Thank you. I will. All right. Take care, Wendy. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary. Bye.
Bye.